All right, it's time for another PSA to CGC regrade video. Be prepared for an absolute roller coaster of a submission. So strap in, clench those butt cheeks, because you're in for a wild ride. This submission also only took 14 business days, so CGC is starting to fly through their submissions, which is awesome. This submission went way better than I thought, so I'm really excited to show you guys what happened. All right, let's get right to it. Okay, up first in this submission is the Umbreon and Darkrai GX promo card. I got this one in a PSA 9, and me being the idiot that I am, I bought this card at pretty much the all-time high. I was like, oh, surely this will keep going higher, right? My guess was that it was going to get a 9, and CGC gives the card an 8.5. A PSA 9 to a CGC 8.5 is never good. This is one of the largest profit losses ever. Like I said, this is a bit of a roller coaster, so things will be up and down quite a bit. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm feeling fine. Let's go on to the next one. Here we have Mewtwo and Mew GX Power Partnership Tin. This is also a promo card. Yeah, Mewtwo wants nothing to do with Mew. I get it. Sometimes, you're just like that. Even best friends at times, could have their issues. I don't know what kind of relationship they have, but clearly they need some couples counseling or something.
I'm sick of this idiot.
My guess was that it was going to be a 9.5. Due to the centering on the front alone, CGC gave this card a 10. So great. I'm almost as happy as Mew, just enjoying life.
Yay!
The price has dipped a little bit on it, but I still think it's fantastic. I'm really happy with this. Up next is a very interesting card. It's very weird. It's Armor Mewtwo promo card. I don't know really what this is from. It might be from like a movie. If anyone knows, feel free to leave a comment. But I do think it's a really cool and unique card. This one I got in a PSA 9. It looked flawless to me. CGC gives the card a 10, which is amazing. Now, the value here is really hard for me to figure out. PSA 10s have been selling in like the 4,000 range, and there was one even sold like around 6,000. Now, the last CGC sale, according to price charting, which isn't always accurate, was actually 3,500. But there's also a current listing on eBay with someone with zero feedback for 1,500, which seems way too low for me. The pop of this in CGC 10 is only 19. There are no pristine 10s of this card. This is the highest graded card for CGC. Putting his hand out like he's about to stop you for some kind of interrogation.
Stop. You must report to the authorities, and the authority is me. And if I do not like your answer, you will be terminated.
Yeah, he's terrifying. Let's move on. Okay, so this is the third Mewtwo card in a row. What can I say? I like the guy. I think he's pretty cool. Now, in this one, he's kind of clenching his fist like in a subtle victory pose, like he just destroyed someone, and he's like,
yes, but exactly what I expected from me being so great.
This one I got in a PSA 9, and my guess was that it was also going to get a 9. Again, I bought the card at a pretty high price because the market was crazy at the time. And CGC gives the card a 9, so PSA 9 to CGC 9. Here's the roller coaster again. Here it comes. It's going down. Eating some huge loss here. One of the biggest meals of loss I've ever eaten in my life. You have to accept it and move on to the next card. It's everybody's favorite spoon man. It's Alakazam EX from Fates Collide, secret rare holo. This one I got in a PSA 9, and my guess was that it was going to get a 9.5. This card is so cool. It has Umbreon, Lugia, and Alakazam, like 3 extremely popular Pokemon. Lugia looks as cool as ever, although he looks a little suspicious of Alakazam. Well, yeah, we all know what happens, Alakazam, when you use both of those spoons to absolutely hoover down a bowl of bean chowder. We know.
I don't know what you're talking about. I sure do.
CGC gives the card an 8.5, so that's a second card in the submission. They went from a PSA 9 to a CGC 8.5. I really couldn't tell you why. I'm not quite sure. Probably some kind of surface issue that I just can't find, because that's typically what happens when it grades lower. But that's 3 cards now in the submission out of 5 that have been profit losses of over $150. Not good. But let's get ready for some good times, because things are about to turn around. Up next, we have Aerodactyl Reverse Holo. Let me just start by saying the stamp on this card is incredible. Probably my favorite stamped card, text or font or whatever. It looks so like spooky and Halloweeny. Aerodactyl here is probably about to absolutely do a dive bomb on his prey. He's incredible. This card is probably my favorite Aerodactyl card. I got it in a PSA 8 and I guess it was going to get a 10. I could not find a single thing wrong with the card. CGC gives the card a pristine 10, which is amazing. Fantastic. I am just jumping for joy. I'm having a great time. To go from a PSA 8 to a CGC pristine is amazing. Now, the value of the card, I just put it around PSA 10 price. There's like been no sales of it, so it could be a little bit more. I could not be happier. All right, here's Ampharos Neo Genesis First Edition Holo. This one I got in a PSA 9. So, you know, the last card got an 8 and got a pristine, so surely this one will get a 10, right? So my guess was that it was going to get a 10. It looked great to me. It looked fine. And CGC gives it a 9. Oof, okay, well, it happens. It's okay. Again, the value gains of this submission so far have been so good. I cannot complain. I'm still such a happy camper. I got my fire going. Maybe I'm cooking a marshmallow, about to enjoy a beautiful, delicious s'more. The second Neo Genesis card of this submission is Pichu, Neo Genesis First Edition Holo. Pichu is so adorable. He's so cute. His arms are open wide, ready to just embrace a hug.
I love you this much.
Probably my second favorite baby Pokemon. Everybody knows my favorite baby Pokemon. I mean, come on, there's no competition. This one I got in a PSA 7. My guess was that it was going to be a 9. And CGC gives the card a 10, which is outstanding. A PSA 7 to a CGC 10. It's very rare that happens, and I am over the moon. I'm jumping over the moon like the proverbial cow over the proverbial moon in that bedtime story that everyone reads to their children. Maybe Pichu heard about it because he's a baby. Again, we're riding the highs of this submission. It's going incredible. Let's go on to the next one. Meganium, Neo Genesis First Edition Holo. Meganium is actually the first starter that I picked when I played Gold and Silver for the first time when I was a small child. But Meganium is a little bit of the nostalgia factor for me, so I'm a big fan. I got this one in a PSA 9, and my guess was that it was going to be a 9.5. CGC gives the card a 10, which again is absolutely amazing. I am so ecstatic at this point in my submission. Yeah, we've had some downers for sure, but just the highs of the submission are just crushing the lows. It's been an amazing ride so far, and I'll tell you what, it's not over. We got some more crazy stuff happening later on. Let's go on. All right, Scizor, Neo Discovery First Edition Holo. I got this one in a PSA 8, and my guess was that it was going to get a 10. This card is fantastic, but the art's a little bit weird. Like, I can't tell what's going on with, like, right under his eyes, like that red section. It almost looks like his mouth is open. He's like, "Rrr." If you saw this coming at you, I would crap myself. I've done it before. I'll do it again. CGC gives the card a 9, so, you know, about breaking even on it or so. So in terms of this submission, one of the more mundane or less interesting regrades so far. Shining Magikarp from Neo Revelation. Bless this day, oh shining fish. Shining Magikarp, Neo Revelation Holo. I got this one in a PSA 8, and my guess was that it was going to be a 9.5. I did spend quite a bit of money on this because I did think it was going to grade pretty well, and CGC gave the card a 9. So a grade bump from an 8 to a 9. You know what? I shouldn't be complaining. I should be happy about it. Now, unfortunately, the value, there's not much gain there at all. Let's move on to the next one. This is Shining Mew from Koro Comic Promo, or Koro Mew. This one is such an amazing and beautiful card. I actually regraded this from CGC. I cracked it out of a CGC 7, which I originally got in a PSA 7. Now, I actually cracked it out of a CGC 7 because I thought it deserved better. But after I cracked it out, like the second I cracked it out, I'm inspecting my cards a lot better now, let me just say, before I send them off so I can have a better idea of what to expect. Right away, I'm like, oh, that actually kind of deserved a 7, because on the back of the card, there's this really big scratch, and I was like, yep, okay, I think it deserves a 7.5 is my guess. So a little test to see CGC's consistency here. CGC gives it a 7.5, so exactly what I guessed. A half grade bump from last time, which, okay, that's cool. Probably the grader was a little bit more lenient on that scratch that they found. I think a half grade bump really is a bit negligible in the long run. That's still pretty consistent in my eyes, so can't complain about that. So that's fine. Hoping one day maybe I'll get in a 10, but for now I'll have to settle with this grade. Up next, we have Lugia, Neo Genesis Japanese set, or Gold Silver to a New World. This one I also cracked again out of a CGC 8 that used to be a PSA 9. So I'm like, okay, PSA 9 to CGC 8, surely it should get better. Well, after I cracked it out again, I saw there were some really significant surface issues on the back bottom of the card. So my guess was that it was going to get an 8. I actually think CGC was correct the first time they graded it. And the second time around, CGC gives it an 8. So they're perfectly consistent on this card. Definitely shouldn't have just sent it in. But like I said, I'm doing a much better job looking at my cards before I send in. So hopefully I'll kind of avoid these situations in the future. But in the meantime, it's still interesting to test out the consistency of CGC while I have the opportunity to. All right, up next is the same card as Lugia Japanese Neo again. My guess was that was going to get a 9.5. The reason why I guessed it was going to get a 9.5 is the top to bottom centering. Now, PSA has some 10s with lenient centering, but not usually on vintage. And CGC gives it a pristine 10. This is amazing. It's absolutely incredible. So my guess is they probably had a 9.5 on centering and 10 everywhere else, which would lead to a pristine 10. And apparently they might be more lenient on top to bottom centering than left to right, but I'm not quite sure. But I will definitely be testing out more cards that don't have perfect centering in the future because this is amazing. The last one sold via Fanatics for around $2,900, which is insane. And I just can't believe it. Again, this is a second pristine and the second pristine that came from a PSA 8, which is incredible. Okay, up next is Sabrina's Gengar, the banned Japanese card. And when I say banned, they basically censored it when they went to the English version because there's no graveyard in the back. Still, it makes the card really unique and really cool because this version is only in the Japanese version. I got it in a PSA 8, and my guess was that it was going to get a 9.5. Again, with these Japanese cards, there could be issues with the back that don't show up on scans, and CGC gives the card a 10, which again is absolutely amazing. This is the 5th card in the submission with a value gain of over 1,000. Insane. I'm throwing myself a little party. A party for one. Could not be happier. Same card again, Sabrina's Gengar, the Japanese version. The last one was a PSA 8. This one was a PSA 8. My guess for this one was that it was going to get a 9.5 as well. So the last one that I guessed 9.5 got a 10. This one though, however, got an 8.5. Not good at all. That's okay. Again, I mean, I can't complain at all. I've had such an amazing submission, and this one, as long as I like break even or so on it, that's fine by me. Okay, up next we have Charizard Japanese base set. I love this card. It's a classic card. The second I cracked it out, I noticed there was a lot of scratching on the back, and I was like, maybe this did deserve an 8, but I'm gonna guess it's gonna get an 8.5, and CGC gives a card an 8.5, so my guess was correct, but unfortunately I didn't really make any money here. As long as I get something that I expect and that I guess correctly, I'll live with it. That's okay. Okay, Mr. Four-Armed Man, we have Machamp base set first edition Shadowless Hollow. I got this one in a PSA 9. Some of the PSA 9s in this submission have gone really well. Some of the PSA 9s in this submission have not gone well. Well, when I cracked it out, I noticed some issues, some whitening on the corners and edges, and I thought to myself, well, that probably deserved a 9, so that was my guess. And CGC gives the card a 9. So everything's fine. Again, this submission has gone so well that I can just brush this off as a small loss and move on. Second to last card of the submission, we have Flareon first edition Jungle Hollow. I got in a PSA 9. I contemplated not cracking the card when I got it for a few reasons. One, there's like a blue mark to the right of the Pokeball center in the back of the card. And then there's corner issues pretty much everywhere, a little bit of edge issues. That deserves a 9 max. I still took the risk to crack it because I wanted to fill out a submission and I already had it in my hand. I'm like, who knows? I want to test to see what the card gets. I guess it was going to get an 8.5. I think this is one of the few, or maybe even the first time, that I guessed it was going to get lower than what PSA gave it, and CGC gave it a 9, which, okay, PSA 9 to CGC 9, I'm actually okay with because it graded a little bit higher than I expected. Lost a lot of money on this one again. This is why, again, getting PSA 9s can be a bit risky because there's a lower chance of it going higher than, let's say, a PSA 8 or 7 would. The last two cards, it's losing over $400, which, eating that loss is not going to taste good, but you got to do it because you can't have the highs without the lows. Speaking of highs, let's go on to the final card in this submission. Okay, the first Flareon did not do so hot, but you know, this one, perhaps we can turn it around. This is Flareon EX Sandstorm Hollow. I got in a PSA 9, and my guess was that it was going to get a 10. I could tell from the scans that it looked pretty much flawless to me. I thought it looked incredible. And CGC gives it a pristine 10. So that's the third pristine 10 in this submission. The only one that came from a PSA 9. I am so ecstatic. What an amazing way to end the submission. Now, this card was actually sold before PSA prices took off for about $1,000. Now, since PSA prices took off, I priced it at the last PSA 10 price, which I think is fair and an amazing way to end one of the best submissions I've ever had. All right, let's go on to some stats about the grade changes. So the PSA average for these grades was 8.4. The CGC average was 9.33 with an average bump of 0.92 with a percent increase of 11. So an 11% increase in grades is really good. Can't complain at all about that. That is really interesting to see in one of my better submissions in that regard yet. So my total cost was about $7,300. If I guessed perfectly correctly, my guess value would be around $11,700, but you know, I didn't guess correctly. Wow, such a surprise. My actual value is around $18,700, which is just insane, with a profit of around $11,300. But I am so happy with this submission, so I'm giving myself a grade of S here. Not quite S plus because I had so many bad regrades in this submission as well. I had 8 out of the 20 come back as 10s, 3 pristines, an amazing submission. I am really excited about this, and I thought it was really fun to show you guys. Also, feel free to join the Discord. There's a link in the description. If you join, you're eligible for the completely free occasional giveaways, and we have chats about Pokemon cards and all that fun stuff. I'll see you next time. Bye!